Story time with Energizer. Around 2007, I had a booking for one of my military and frat brothers for a wedding reception that I was doing. That day, it was traffic on I-45, so I had to go the back route in order to access the port, which we were docking on the boat that the wedding reception was on. I had the music, which was actually on CD, a physical CD, because there were CDs at the time. That day, this was my first gig. Following this gig, I had a fashion show event for the fashion show or fashion organization at TSU. After that event, I had a Kappa party. And after that event, I had a Pride after party. That day, I was on paper to make around probably about $3,000. 45 being closed, I had to take an alternate route. Taking the back route led me to 146. It's a road that brings you to the back of like Kemah, League City, Texas City, just in that pocket. As I'm in a vehicle that is wrapped with Little Flip and an album that he was releasing, I had looked up on the promo rap vehicle for that album. I'd been paid a particular amount of money for this rap. I drove a Suburban. It made sense. For those of you who are familiar, back in the day, you would see promo vehicles around for rappers. So a lot of those times they would look for DJs and other people who were around often that they could spend money with that would wrap their vehicle. And they would have budgets for those with some of those labels. Once I exited this back road, I ran into some version of traffic. Kind of navigating through some of that traffic, I ended up coming to a complete stop. As I came to that complete stop, I hear a bunch of cars screeching. And the most curious part that I had in trying to figure out what was going on was we were all at a complete stop. So where would all this car screeching come from? Almost sounding like how tires sound when people are doing donuts, screeching. But it was in fact the screeching of hard braking and a vehicle likely moving at a fast pace coming to a stop or attempting nonetheless. I look out the left side passenger rearview mirror. I see nothing. I look out the right passenger mirror to see if I see anything. And I see a black vehicle kind of cut across the mirror. As I see it cut across the mirror, I'm now making the complete neck turn, torso turn. And I see a vehicle that is now kind of donutting and spinning out of control into control in the grass. The part that I didn't understand was, how did you do that? And we are literally in a complete stop. Now, granted, yes, there were vehicles who would be coming in to this traffic. So I merged. We ended up in some version of traffic. And there was the road that we're on comes from a overpass into, boom, what would be a light that's coming up. So I'm sure normally that light is not backed up the way it was. But nonetheless, you can see it from the overpass, from the merging. We were far enough in to where you would have recognized people have stopped. So how you got to this spinning, this whatever happened, have no clue. So from there, I proceeded on looking for the turn that I would make a right-hand turn into this area where I could dock and I could go into my first gig of that day. Well, I missed my turn. At that time, Google Maps and all that stuff is really not a thing. And I'm relying on the instructions that I had or, what I'm looking for. And I must have overlooked it. Missing my turn, I end up in passing up Kemah and I end up in League City. I made a turn. I'm looking for, again, my entry still, and I think I'm going to make a loop back around. Well, I'll get pulled over. Not knowing why I'm pulled over. Turns out there was an APB put out on me. All points bulletin. At that point, I'm in cuffs. And now there are people approaching that are now driving by the scene eventually. And they're now there to, I'm assuming, point me out or to bear as, I guess, witness. How they would be able to point out me or witness me would be impossible if you're behind me because the vehicle is wrapped. All the windows is wrapped in this Little Flip album. The front windows darkly tinted, so you couldn't physically see my face. But nonetheless, I ended up going to jail. End up going to jail and accused of a hit and run. Remember I told you, first gig of the day, wedding reception. Next gig, fashion show event for the fashion organization at TSU. Next event, Kappa party. Next event, Pride after party, something along those lines. All my equipment in the vehicle for the day's events, loaded up, tons of speakers, whole nine. Full vehicle because, again, I had the Kappa party and I would have to bring all my sound. So all my equipment in my vehicle, I go to jail, vehicle gets towed. Now I got to get the vehicle out of tow. Now I have a charge for a hit and run, for driving and leaving the scene of a crime, blah, 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 blah. Got to get the vehicle out, lost all this money. Then got to get an attorney, got to fight the charge. So get an attorney. Fast forward for some time, I kept telling the attorney, hey man, get me the pictures. I can tell you how this happened. I can tell you how this happened. So we don't have to go to trial. We don't have to go A, B, C, and D. And my attorney was one of those guys when I showed up, to court, he came in a nice suit, ching on the smile, all that good stuff, freshly shaved, slick back hair, all of that. So I let him do that for months. Tons of resets. At that point in time, I'm into having my daughter who was a newborn, and now I'm taking time away from my kid to continue to go through this matter that happened, I think, in 2007 in May. So at that point, I finally get to trial because I told him, we go take it to trial. He kept trying to convince me, hey, don't take it to trial. So we get there, and if you've ever been in one of those type of courtrooms, for those people who are actually behind bars or in jail, there's a glass and there's this room where, their attorneys come in and they talk to you between the glass. So we go into that room. So I tell him, he's talking, I'm talking, and I'm just, letting him know, hey, we got it or whatnot. And I just see him just like break down, like full blown, like he had never attorneyed before, like, this lack of confidence, this complete, just zero confidence as an attorney. Like I couldn't wrap my mind around it. So outside of slapping him and hitting him with the, get yourself together, I just, told him like, hey, stop. Looked him in his optical lenses. I said, hey, just do your job. We're going to win this. And as I've asked you several times, get me the pictures. Give me the pictures so I can show you how the accident happened. So the state of Texas, the cop who showed up, and that was his biggest concern. Oh, testifying against officer. That's a huge thing that, he was up against, juries and testifying against officers. So apparently that's the thing in Texas. Whenever there's an officer involved and there's some version of testimony, juries are likely to believe that officer's testimony. So apparently that was a concern of his. So the state of Texas, the officer, the guy who was driving the vehicle, the girlfriend. Then there was a white vehicle, a black vehicle, and about 2 or 3 good Samaritans. So it was all of these people, witnesses or whatnot, versus me. I too testified. Not guilty. Because during the trial, as these things were going on, I finally got the pictures. And it was quite simple throughout the months of resets, all the time that I had lost going up to court, the money lost from all the gigs that I lost that day. And in some of those cases for a DJ, all those people I had DJed for at the drop of a dime, any and every time they needed me. Outside my frat brother, military brother's wedding, which that's something you can't redo. So imagine that the damage that happens in that relationship, that he goes into his wedding reception on a boat that's live. It's a great idea, and he has no DJ. So imagine how that affects that relationship. Then you go to, the organization that I worked with. Who's to say now that the people that don't move on or graduate this over that organization, the people that come up that I might not technically have that, that built that relationship with, or we could have been just getting that organization off the ground. Well, all they know is the last thing that we were part of, Energizer, was a no-show. Or we had to get somebody else last minute. Boom, that relationship has blossomed. The frat event, the Noops, Beta, that didn't ruin that relationship because, of course, that was a well-nurtured relationship, and they understood, things happen. It was more so looked at in a business or like a freak accident, just some random kind of thing, and they adapted and did what they needed to do. And then the Pride event, my heart wasn't broken because I didn't DJ it, but luckily the person who I had the relationship with, who had the venue, they didn't take it personal. It was more so like, dang, that's effed up. But nonetheless, I couldn't have been that fortunate. I could have just been DJ for hire trying to build those relationships. I could have just been providing a service, and boom, those relationships are ruined. Now let's go back. I asked for the pictures. Well, turns out the black Trans Am that this gentleman was driving, a 90s model Trans Am, had white paint on the front driver's fender. And there was an Acura, white with black paint on the passenger rear bumper. And when they gave me the pictures, they were out of sequence. But simply put, I just took, just looked at the pictures and just took one and moved it over here and set that there. And, that was your accident. But it cost me. So just the allegations alone cost me. That's America. The truth took longer to prevail. months, actually, a lot of months. Resets, waking up, leaving for my newborn child to go and deal with this matter, paying a person who litigates, this is their job, them showing that they lacked any confidence in the truth. So not only have they received money, not only have they went to law school for this particular profession that they now specialize in, and I'm pretty sure they've had tons of years of litigations and trials and defending and experience, they still lacked confidence in the truth. And it's just me, a person with the truth, that had the most confidence. That just had to wait for the truth to prevail. Was never recompensated for everything that I lost. I was never put in a position to regain any of those things that I lost. It didn't rekindle or fix or justify anything that transpired to the first gig that I had that day, which was a wedding reception. That they can't get those moments or that time back. This is a once in a lifetime thing. And yeah, after being found not guilty, the gentleman then we ended up in the same elevator on the way down in Harris County. You know, you wait for those elevators. And as we get in that elevator, now the gentleman's aggressing me and talking noise, and the girlfriend as well. And they're making it a point to now try to engage me in some shape, form, or fashion in the Harris County building, where there's nothing but officers and judges. And I mean, it's just one door, and you're in the pipeline to go down to process it. And they engage me. Not to mention that, and I had to keep my cool and not say nothing and bite my tongue. But not only that, they came after me civically as well. And in the civil case, eventually in deposition, they stopped me in the middle of deposition and they apologized. Whoever was handling this deposition, they knew something wasn't right. They must have looked over everything that they looked over, heard my deposition, apologized, and it went away. It never went away to me. I was on the bad end of the projection of a lie, a false narrative. And what I only can assume is that in this gentleman's situation of whatever transpired with the wreck, the idea was that's a rapper's vehicle. And the internal, I'm assuming racism within him thought, we can get paid. This is attached to something that has likely some version of corporate money involved or record label money involved. Or, I mean, he's flashing a chain and a grill. There has to be some version of money there. So we can only hold him and use him as a tool of my lack of driving ability or my lack of accountability or whatever transpired between the black vehicle and the white vehicle being a thing. Well, they projected it onto someone else who was me. And that lie, that projection, and that narrative, a one-sided one, cost me. Never got an apology. No one ever corrected the record. Never got repaid for those things. So in conclusion, all it takes is for you to be accused in America, let alone for you to be accused in America and have internet and social media. Being on one side of the story is something that a lot of us are not familiar with because most of us live some version of a low-key, tucked off life. But for some of us, especially us men, a lot of us have been on the side of that one-sided story. Too often it transpires in our judicial system, and it often transpires on the domestic front. And for a lot of us in our work environments as well. And I've seen all of these things play out. But what I normally see transpire is what rings the loudest is the accusation. And the thing that a lot of us seem to not recall, the thing that a lot of us seem to not be knowledgeable of is the fact that this same tactic was used against us for a very long time. I appreciate you tuning in to the I Am Energizer podcast. The goal will be eventually to create a dialogue that puts us in a position to heal a lot of the things that we experience throughout our lives. And it could be several versions of healing that needs to transpire. It could be the vision that we lack. We need to heal the eyes. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the physical eyes. It could be the things we experienced in our heart, the way that others have treated us or us being on the other ends of things, or the things that we have done unto others that needs to be healed. It could be that inner child that needs to be healed, that child that we need to go back. We need to reconcile some things. We need to put some things back together, put some Band-Aids on that child, or get something healed up and get them to where they need to go, to where that child can go on to be a better version of themselves. And now you in your adult form can go on to be the better version of you. That's the version of healing that I'm speaking to. Sometimes it could be the throat that needs to be healed, the throat chakra, chakra, which means that you need to speak up. Some of us, you need to heal the throat chakra, and it could be the tongue, and you need to quiet it down or, tame it. It could be the thoughts. Some of you all's thoughts run rampant, and we need to heal why those thoughts run rampant the way that they do. So it's so much version of healing that needs to transpire. And we will be touching that. I'm here to encourage growth. I'm here to encourage the discipline from within. And on the 37th day of what I turned into a 40-day fast, I am here to only push the better version of you and put you in a position to grow. That's my only goal here. So a lot of this, the storytelling and just creating now this platform that I am assigned and I've been called to do, and that unfortunately for me that I've procrastinated on, or I've stockpiled so much content related to it, is showtime. All right, floodgates are now open. I will be releasing said content, and we will now create particular dialogue that pushes not only myself to share my gift and what my experiences has been in the healing process, what I've learned spiritually throughout my 40-day fast of no food, and all the other things that come with the growth. And this is not a sprint. This is a long distance run. All right. So it won't be something that happens overnight, but hopefully some of the things that I have, they can share. So I'm only encouraging unity and community. That's it. So not here for drama, not here for negativity, and not here for the things that, a lot of us wake up in the morning and we indulge in, and we have our algorithm push us towards. And the algorithm doesn't technically have to be the social media device that you hold in your hand. The algorithm could be just in the rhythm of how you go and navigate throughout your day. I am Energizer Podcast. Like, subscribe, do all those things that put you into position to know that when a new episode drops, it's on. All right. So we all seeds in the ground at the moment. All right. We nourishing that seed. We making sure the soil is compact. We gonna make sure we got the nutrients around us. We gonna make sure we got the proper hydration for us to grow. And as we grow, we blossom into the fruit that we were here, that we've been designed to be, and to give back onto others. Because once we start doing our version of healing and we grow and we blossom, then we can provide shade. We can provide home to another animal. We can provide that fruit that we were designed to be. It's so many other things that we now become, being who we are in our naturally created being and who we can become. So I am Energizer Podcast. This is a home and a place for learning and growing. That's it. All right. Lessons learned, lessons being taught, growth. That's it. I'm out. See you on the next episode.